Assalamu alaikum to everyone, or in English language is, peace be upon you all. I am your humble servant, Eurotech, at your service. We have an iPhone 13 here, with the issue of always overheating, so it quickly loses battery and the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth also don't work. And when I asked the owner about the history of their iPhone, they immediately told me that they had it reported before by another technician, but nothing happened. And because they watched one of our videos, they are hoping that we might be able to fix the issue with their iPhone 13. And because this has already been handled by a technician, I just did a basic diagnosis, then I immediately split the stack PCB since I didn't see any problem on the outer part of the motherboard. And because one of the problems of the unit is a Wi-Fi issue, I started diagnosing the Wi-Fi chip by visually checking the main chip and other related components in the Wi-Fi IC. And while checking the lower board, I noticed that the board was very oily. So I first cleaned both the lower and upper board using an ultrasonic cleaner with 99% alcohol. Then after cleaning the boards, the next thing we will do is power on the iPhone using the layered test rack tool. The purpose is to determine if the reason for the Wi-Fi not functioning is due to a loose connection on the pads. The layered test rack tool is one of the essential tools we should have when repairing iPhones. We can avoid damaging the motherboard if we have this tool. We can also accurately determine if there is an issue with our layering pads, and most importantly, we can operate the unit with the help of the layer test rack without resoldering the stack printed circuit board. In short, our motherboard is very safe, and when we were able to power on the iPhone 13, I checked the settings and the Wi-Fi is still grayed out, or the Wi-Fi button still cannot be turned on. So it means that the problem is not with the layering pads, not with the timing chip component or logic board. At least now, we are sure that the problem is in the lower board, and that is what the layer test track tool can provide us, the certainty that we are no longer guessing. And because it is now clear to us that the problem is here on the lower board, I can immediately start the operation without any hesitation. And thanks to the help provided by the layer test track tool, and because of the deep diagnosis I conducted on the Wi-Fi chip, I discovered that there is a shortage in one of the lines of the Wi-Fi chip. So what I did was remove, clean, reball, and then return the Wi-Fi chip to its original location. And after what I did, the short to ground around the Wi-Fi chip also disappeared. Then I immediately proceeded to clean both the upper and lower board. That's why I always clean our boards to prevent oily flux from getting on our layer test track tool, as this could possibly affect the performance of our beloved equipment for making a living. And of course, before we attach the upper and lower board, we will first test it on our layer test rack tool. In this way, we will immediately know if our solution was successful or not without connecting the mother and daughter board. It is safer and increases the chance of successfully completing the task on our iPhone smartphones. And speaking of what can be done, as we all can see, the Wi-Fi button can now be enabled in the Wi-Fi setting. It is also noticeable that the unit's overheating has disappeared. In short, the cause of the overheating was the short to ground of one of the pads of the Wi-Fi IC. In my honest opinion, the layer test track tool was a big help, which is why I was able to solve the problem of this iPhone 13. Maybe if the previous technician who worked on this had the same tool, it probably wouldn't have reached me. It is not a joke what the previous technician did here, because to properly reball the Wi-Fi chip and baseband IC means your micro soldering skills are at a high level. I hope I have inspired you with this new video of ours. Thank you very much for watching. Again, this is your host, Eurotech at your service.